Low. I also have my boy Jack here, and we're going to be talking about the fights
What's going
that
on, fight
last week
fans?
and next week. How are you, Jack?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since I've been on the call with y'all. I'm really excited to be back, especially after a great weekend full of some of the best fights I'd say this of the first half of this year.
Yeah, we've had a great week in combat sports in general. Specifically, I think the event that was the biggest when you put them all together was, in my opinion, Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill. What did you think of that fight? Who are you picking, and what do you think is next for both men?
First of all, a great display from Khalil Roundtree Jr. Coming off of his loss against Alex Pereira back in I want to say February. Not too sure, but he looked outstanding. A lot of people were picking Jamal over Khalil because they saw Khalil get pieced up by Alex in that fourth round and like that last minute blitz before the ref stopped the fight, which was brutal. But he stopped it all. A lot of people were saying that he wasn't going to use his leg kicks, which he did end up using, and I would say that won him the fight because he was keeping the pace. That was his perfect pace. He was faster than Jamal. His striking was just on point, and his level changes. He would go to the legs until all Jamal could think about were the legs, and then he went up high, and it worked out perfectly for him.
Yeah, man, he
As
looked really good, man. He looked really good. I was picking Hill to lose. I almost accidentally contradicted myself. I was picking Roundtree to win. I said it on film. I was picking him to win on points. But I'll be honest, Jack. I thought it would be a 3 rounds to 2, maybe 4 rounds to 1 decision. I mean, what he did to Hill, he looked very impressive and very dominant. And dare I say, I think I would favor Roundtree right now over Prochaska, to be honest. I think that's the fight to make. I think that's the best fight for both men. I think Prochaska definitely should have one more fight before the Ankalaev fight. I think Ankalaev Pereira 2 makes the most logical sense. If that fight doesn't happen, I think Prochaska does deserve a title shot before Roundtree. However, I would favor Roundtree to get that victory. What do you think about that possible matchup, and what do you think about the landscape of the division?
I absolutely agree with you. That right now, besides the Pereira Ankalaev fight too, which definitely is the first fight to make for both the championship and the fans. I mean, we all want to see Pereira get back in the octagon. But I feel like for the number one contendership, or at least the next in line for the belt, there's not a better fight for the UFC to make than Prohaska and Khalil. Um, I was reading a couple articles. I was listening to some other people's opinions. I was hearing, and it's a pretty convincing statement that people are saying that Khalil right now is probably top three, if not top two, in the most technical strikers in the division right now. I mean, obviously you've got Pereira right there at the top with, I mean, the stats say it for himself. But you've also got, I mean, who else is there? There's not really many people
You got
striking.
Prohaska, and honestly,
Right.
aside from that, the weight class is looking a little shallow right now, right? I think
Yeah, I mean,
Roundtree really brings in that new blood, even though he lost against Pereira and got beaten physically bad, even though he was making it very competitive early on. He
right.
basically came out of nowhere before that bout, and now he's a genuine contender. And I think even him versus Ankalaev is a very intriguing matchup. And I think the weight class gets a lot out of Khalil Roundtree being one of the guys up there.
Right. And you can't, it's been the light heavyweight division's kind of been in a little disarray since John Jones left. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. But looking at the rankings, there aren't many standouts. I mean, Alexander Rakic, he's a possible contender. He's coming off of, I want to say, a win. No, his last fight was in October. Uh, when was? Wait, hold up. When was that? October
Was
24th.
are you
He lost.
referencing when he took on Ankalaev?
Yeah. I'm looking
Yeah,
at that right
so
now.
that's the thing, right? Because Rakic, he's a fighter with a lot of ability, in my opinion. But I've just noticed that whenever he's in a big fight, he comes up short almost every time. And I feel like
Right.
it's unfortunate because he hasn't really taken much punishment. And maybe if he plays the long game and builds back up to a title shot, something can happen. But right now, he definitely needs some work. I think, actually, funnily enough, Hill versus Rakic might be the fight they may need to make because I think
That's a
is
really good fight, actually.
that's a
I
fight
would
where
not.
the winner can move forward and the loser's in a lot of trouble, right? So
Right.
that's the state of the division in my opinion right now. We saw a good performance from Roundtree. He looked very dominant, very impressive. Moving on though, when you look at the UFC right now, and we've got some really big news. We've got some big fights, but specifically some really big news. John Jones has announced his retirement. Right, this is honestly a bit of a tragedy and honestly a really rough patch for the sport with the whole Tom Aspinall situation. And in reality, it really was no one's fault but John Jones. Dana did what he could. Aspinall clearly wanted to fight. A lot of forces were trying to make the fight happen. And John Jones pulled out of the fight. And objectively, I really feel that this has caused some problems with his legacy because you look at the GOAT conversation prior to Tom Aspinall being in the conversation, right? And I think John Jones is pretty much a consensus GOAT, right? I think objectively, he still is the consensus GOAT.
Right.
However, things have changed pretty significantly. I mean, now I'm really starting to see people say it's Mighty Mouse, it's GSP. I've even seen a couple of Khabib claims, but I think those are laughable, right? So John Jones's GOAT status has definitely taken a hit because of accomplishment, maybe. But the fact that he turned down the Aspinall fight so blatantly, I think has definitely impacted his all-time legacy.
There's definitely some saying John Jones was always trying to. I mean, for the longest time, he wanted the tough fights, but if you looking back, he's kind of had a history of ducking the people that have either come really close to beating him or that could probably beat him. Looking back, he ducked Dominic Reyes after he controversially won that decision. I still think Dom won that.
Yeah, Dom definitely won that. Dom definitely
He
won.
ducked Francis until Francis literally left the company.
And you know what's
He
interesting,
wanted,
Jack? Before you continue, sorry to cut you off, but I think it plays a part of what you're saying, right? Like John Jones and Francis Ngannou, that whole scenario, everyone was accusing everyone, right? Jones was accusing Ngannou, Ngannou was accusing Jones. And I guess time really does expose because we got the exact same scenario of Tom Aspinall. And I guess in reality is that John Jones was always the one that was turning down that fight. And that was a gigantic fight, Jack. That fight was huge. When he beat Stipe and John was going to move up to heavyweight, that would have been one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight that would have ever been made in the sport, aside from maybe Khabib versus
absolutely,
Conor.
absolutely. That might have topped
Yeah,
Khabib
it might have topped. I would say it would have topped it at least in regards to skill level
impact.
when it comes to competitiveness and hype. I think Khabib Conor, the only thing it had on it was that Khabib and Conor are just such big names. But Francis versus
Right.
John was a mega fight in the heavyweight division, and it fell through. Now, the same exact scenario of Tom Aspinall. Now, what I think a saving grace could be is if somehow Dana White pulls it off and gets Tom Aspinall versus Francis Ngannou. I think that
Oh
would
my
be a
God.
gigantic treat for the fans, and I think that would honestly make the fans forget a little bit about the John Jones scenario because Aspinall versus Ngannou was such a treat to the fans.
Absolutely. That would definitely be one of those, like, I guess you could call it a mega fight. I mean, it would have to, I mean, Uncle Dana's going to have to do some talking with, is he with the PFL now? Who's,
Yes, Francis is with the PFL currently.
yeah. So there's going to be some contractional issues. But I mean, that would put heavyweight back on the map. I mean, obviously it's already up there with the Tom Aspinall drama that's going on, and no, I just lost it.
No, but overall, it would be a gigantic fight. I think, in my opinion, Jack, I will say this: I am favoring Aspinall in that bout. I just think Aspinall is completely on fire right now. I mean, the heavyweight division needs someone like Ngannou to be brought in because if you look at the weight class, I mean, there's nothing fun. I mean, the Cyril Gane fight is probably the fight that's happening next. I mean, it logically makes the most sense. Keep in mind, Gane got a gift, an absolute gift against Volkov. I was picking Volkov, by the way. I was in the minority. I felt so good. My ego was so high when Volkov won 2 rounds to 1. And then when they robbed him blatantly, it was an absolute heartbreaker. So hopefully they can give Volkov. Maybe if Ngannou comes back, they give Ngannou one fight, and that's Volkov, and they give Aspinall versus Gane winners face off. I think that would be the best scenario. But if you look at the weight class, right, I mean, it's funny because his name always escapes me, but we all know there's that one Brazilian in the heavyweight division that got stopped by Curtis Blades but has a tremendous ground game. And I think it actually
Jalton Almeida.
Jalton Almeida could be a sleeper. His chin sucks, but if he can somehow get Aspinall to the ground, it could be very interesting. But he's so chinny, I think Aspinall knocks him out, right? Cyril Gane, I think. Go ahead.
Even with his chin, I would still put Aspinall's takedown defense and his overall speed at the heavyweight division. I mean,
Very
so
agile
many
guy.
people have said he's a heavyweight that moves like a welterweight, and it's hard to argue with how fast he is. He's like he. I mean, they said it best. He moves like a welterweight. He moves like he's 100 pounds less than he weighs. He's a 265 guy running around at what looks like,
And he's got that
let's
power. He's got that speed. I believe he would. There's a clip where he says, "Take me to deep waters and see what happens." And I really do believe that he is the type of
we
guy
have
that
yet to
is
see him.
capable and is impressed. I think he would be impressive in those later rounds as the fight goes on. And honestly, if you look at the heavyweight division, right, I think if Tom Aspinall took on Cyril Gane right now, I'm going to make a bold take. I don't think Cyril Gane makes it past 15 seconds. I think he gets chinned Connor Aldo style. Something in my gut. I just have a sneaky feeling that he just obliterates Cyril Gane. Like he really gets him out of there in a jiff, makes a statement similar to, I was at the BKFC event, right? Similar to when Perdomo got that first 13-second KO victory. I think it'd be that type of performance for
I
Tom
remember
Aspinall. I
seeing
really
it. It
think
was like incredible.
it was
That
insane,
dude's
right? I think
insane.
maybe we get Perdomo in the UFC at this point because the heavyweight
Mm.
division needs something, right? I mean, it is so predictable. No one, aside from Ngannou being brought back, in my opinion, gives Tom Aspinall an extremely 50-50 type of fight. None. No one.
And with that being said, would you think that um, Tom has a shot at being the new heavyweight goat? I mean, right now it's a pretty solid case for Stipe Miocic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, he cleared the division, two-time champ.
Yeah.
But now you're looking at the situation that Aspinall has, and he has. You look at the top. What is it? Top seven, and there's not a really favorable matchup between him and anybody. That
Aspinall
what
beats everyone. I'll say that 100%. I think his resume is already looking pretty decent. Pavlovich, Blades, right? I believe he's beaten Derek Lewis as well, or am I crazy, right? He has the Lewis win,
I
or
don't think they fought
who did
yet.
he beat? I'm trying to think. Blades,
He's
Pavlovich.
beat Pavlovich. Let me look this up. Hold up.
I'm pretty sure he has Derek Lewis on his resume, but I could be crazy, or I just could be wrong. I am wrong and crazy. He has Volkov, Spivak, Arlovsky, Tybura, right? So his resume is decent. It's not completely stacked. What's more impressive is how he's beating them, right? But if you look at the heavyweight
Right,
division now, right, who is
not a
there for him to fight
single.
aside from Cyril Gane and Gelton Almeida, right? He's already beat Volkov. They could
Right,
make that rematch at some point. Another win against Volkov, right? The problem that Tom Aspinall is facing now is there's no marquee names for him. So if he wins 10 fights in a row and has an insane title run, yes, I understand the case for being the GOAT. But if you look at Stipe, what Stipe does have that Aspinall still hasn't gotten yet is he has those marquee DC wins against Daniel Cormier, right? He
right.
needs some type of marquee win. John Jones would have been that guy. Ngannou could be that guy. Maybe there'll be a new guy. Maybe Gelton Almeida will prove to be actually legit and that Derek Lewis fight was a fluke. I don't know. But if I look at the heavyweight rankings right now, Jack, can you pull up the heavyweight rankings for me, brother?
Yeah.
You
Right
tell
now
me
we got.
who's there for this guy to fight at some
So
point.
right now, UFC hasn't updated. Right now we got Aspinall champ, Gone, Volkov, Pavlovich, Blades, Almeida, Cortez Acosta, Tybura, Spivak, Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa.
It's terrible, brother. It is
There's
horrendous.
no there's no favorable matchup.
Keep in mind he's beaten already multiple of those names by first round demolition. The only legit names he hasn't beaten is Cyril Gane, who just got a disgusting gift against Volkov, who he knocked out in the round, and Gelton Almeida,
Right.
who got stopped by Derek Lewis. I mean, the heavyweight division sucks. Dana White needs to take action, and he needs to bring Francis Ngannou in because if not, the heavyweight division is a complete waste. There's nothing interesting at all. Aspinall demolishes everyone.
Right.
And it's funny because Rudy comments, and this is exactly what I was thinking of. He says the same as the Mighty Mouse situation, and I completely agree. It's a shame for Mighty Mouse because really, if he was fighting now, that weight class, I mean, Pantoja has a much better situation than Mighty Mouse did, right? Kai Kara France, that's a legit name, right? Brandon Moreno, that was a legit name. There were legit top-tier pound-for-pound type caliber opponents for Pantoja right now that Mighty Mouse really didn't have. The run that he had, it was very dominant, but he didn't have those marquee names, and that's a situation that Tom Aspinall is about to be in, where maybe right Ankalaev goes on a run and moves up, or Alex Pereira moves up. If Pereira can beat Ankalaev in a rematch, and maybe they have a trilogy and he wins again, and somehow he doesn't retire, right? Maybe Alex
That would be.
Pereira, right? Maybe
I mean,
Ankalaev. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you look at light heavyweight, if Ankalaev moves up in weight, which I really don't see happening, that's a name, right? That's a name. But overall, he's really struggling right now to find anyone worthwhile at this weight class. I mean,
There have been
shame.
rumors spread that Pereira is walking around at, I believe, 245. So it wouldn't be, it's not likely, but I mean, having that fight between Aspinall and Pereira for the first ever possible three division champ. I mean, first of all, holy respects would go to Pereira. I mean, it'd be he's already in the one. I'd argue he's in the top five of all time, maybe top seven. If he were to be the first ever three divisional champ, he's arguably one of the
I mean,
best of all time.
I would put him above John Jones if he beats Tom Aspinall. If he beats Ankalaev and then beats Tom Aspinall objectively, I mean, no one's ever been a three-time champ. And if you look at the guys he's beaten to become champ, right? Jiri Prohaska is, I believe, the champion he beat, right? Because Yuri had the belt, I believe, the first
No,
time.
they fought for the vacant.
So he
It was
beat Prohaska for a vacant title. So that weakens it because it was vacant. But at the same time, Yuri was a champion at some point. No one had
right.
beat him in the UFC at the time. Adesanya, when Adesanya was on a run, when no one had beaten Adesanya at middleweight, and then
This Brazilian comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey, I want him,"
and he gets him
took
out of
him.
there.
He
He gets
gets
him
him.
out of there. And then Tom Aspinall, right? Beating Tom Aspinall, especially if Aspinall gets like a Cyril Gane win before that. I mean, you're talking about an extremely impressive legacy. Keep in mind, Pereira does have to defeat Ankalaev for any of this to happen.
Right.
But with these hypotheticals being put out. So, anyways, we've gone down the little heavyweight situation, right? We've got a big, gigantic fight coming up in September for boxing that has had a lot of eyes on it. And I've had a lot of conflicting views on. Jack, give me your little rundown, your little breakdown of the build-up and the fight itself between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
I mean, it's an amazing fight. We've been waiting for this forever. Two of my favorite boxers right now, of arguably two of my favorite of all time to watch. I mean, it's the build-up's been incredible. Remind me, what's the weight class that they're fighting at? Is it?
It's going to be at 168. It's going to be at super
168. I thought it
middleweight.
was at 172. Are there belts on the line for it?
All of Canelo's belts at 168.
So the wow.
The
So,
undisputed
yeah.
titles at 168 are on the line for this one.
So I mean, this is, damn. We just got intel from the boss that it's 150 million for Canelo and what 50 for Terrence. Jeez.
That's for one night of work. I mean, obviously, it's not one night of work because the amount of training and preparation
Right.
they did to get to that level. But on paper, because of that preparation, one fight, $150 million, a $5 million knockout bonus is what I was told, heard from Turkey Al Sheikh. I mean, it's going to be a tremendous spectacle. And I will actually dare say it, Jack. I will say it straight up. This is the biggest fight since Floyd and Manny Pacquiao, objectively. I can't think of a fight in boxing that was bigger since Floyd versus Pacquiao than Canelo versus Crawford. I know the Canelo Crawford hype, it's big. It's not like, wow, everyone's super on the edge of their seat for it. But I think on paper, if you look at how big Canelo is, how big Crawford is, and the spectacle this fight is, I can't name a bigger fight that's happened in the sport of boxing
It's tough to argue with that. It is tough to argue that completely. I mean, there's definitely been some big fights in the boxing world. I mean, we've
Fury
had
Usyk, Fury Wilder.
we've
You've
had
had Crawford Spence. That was a big one.
exactly
You've had big ones.
The Bivol better BF fights.
But when it comes to actual big in regards to just name value and money being brought in and eyes
Nothing
on the sport,
compares.
this is the biggest one in my opinion. And what makes it so huge is because it's just not a fight that anyone would have expected a few years ago. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford would have sounded like a joke back in the day. And it's crazy that's happening that Crawford's moving up 2 weight classes with only one fight at 154. And in that bout, he struggled anyways, right? So in my opinion, as someone that's always liked Terence Crawford and has been rooting for him throughout his career and has been a huge believer in him, I think he's biting off more than he can chew. And I've been saying this for a long time. And a lot of people who haven't had the same faith in Crawford that I've had, because I've had faith in Crawford from the start. I was super confident he'd beat Spence. He proved me right while I was dealing with a bunch of haters that were Spence fans for a very long time. People that are less confident in Crawford are super confident he's going to beat Canelo, and I'm not one of them. I'm a realist, and I don't think he's going to get the job done. I think there's weight classes for a reason. I'm not saying he's going to get knocked out. It may go to full 12, but I don't think he's going to be able to pull off the job. I think it's just too much. And I know Canelo's slowing down, so it's going to be more competitive, but I have Canelo Alvarez getting the victory, Jack. What do you think?
Uh, I mean, you're the boxing expert, I guess, for this. I'm getting more into it. I definitely through my growth and my love for the sport have been overjoyed to be alive and watching fighting in Canelo's prime and watching him develop from the prospect to the defensive and counterpunching machine that he's become today. And it's hard to argue and it's hard to push against that legacy and that dominance that he's had in his weight division. And I'm also with you on the Canelo boat. I definitely see Canelo winning it. I agree with your statement about there not being a knockout. He's not Canelo's not really known for his power per se, but there's definitely a lot that could go down that night, and that's what we love about fighting. Anything could happen.
100%. I'm extremely excited. I'm extremely excited. What did you think briefly, really briefly, because I actually am late to the party about this event. I do enjoy the BKFC, but I didn't actually check out Soto versus Bonner. Did you see that fight, Jack? With
I
Soto versus
didn't. I
Bonner?
heard so many good things about it. Brian was all over it. He was talking to us about it a little bit before we went live. The light heavyweight, or not the light heavyweight, the lightweight interim belt was on the line, and Ben Bonner came out, took it away, UD, and it was a great fight. It's stirring up. There's definitely a match to be made at the lightweight division, and it's such an entertaining sport to watch. If for those who are watching, if you haven't watched a BKFC fight, do yourself a favor, tune into whatever fight's coming up. You will not be left in your seat. It
That
is
is spot
incredible.
on, man. That is spot on. David, Feldman has done a very good job with the sport. He's built it up well. He's done a great job
Absolutely.
with in Florida, and I can't wait for their event in July 12th. I should be there, so I'm really excited for it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great spectacle, and they've done a great job, honestly, and I love
Who's
seeing these fights
fighting
made.
on that?
That's
You
going to
know
have
who's fighting?
Perdomo's headlining. That's what I remember. Perdomo's
Yes.
headlining, so
Who's
hopefully that Ben
headlining?
Rothwell
Anybody
fight
else?
happens
G
eventually.
Perez is fighting. Uh, El Gallo's in there on the undercard.
Gallo's getting his work, in which when I spoke to him,
HD's in there too.
I said to him, "When are you having your fight in Hard Rock?" He said, "Hopefully soon." And now it's happening from a few months later. So I'm excited for that. So it's gonna be a great card. We have a lot of great cards coming up overall. That's gonna be a great spectacle for us South Floridians. Taporia versus Oliveira. That's a great
Oh,
spectacle for everyone in the UFC. This is the fight where every casual UFC fan that I know has asked me about it multiple times. Every time I see them, I get messages about it from all my friends that watch even a little bit of UFC. They all ask me what I think about this fight. I can't avoid this fight, so I'm actually excited for it to happen, just so people stop asking me about it. My prediction,
it's
what I think is going to happen, Jack, is I am
let's hear
picking
it.
Taporia to win, and I'm picking him to win by knockout. However, I am not counting out Charles, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people are saying him on the ground, whatever. I'm not counting out Charles to chin Ilia Topuria, and I'll explain why. Ilia Topuria is there to be hit, as great of a striker he is and as powerful of a striker is. He's there to be hit, and Charles Oliveira's power is no joke. He is one of the most underrated punchers in the sport. This is a guy that nearly slapped Michael Chandler. He dropped Justin Gaethje hard in that round. He is proven to have legit fight-changing power, especially once he survives your early onslaught. If he can survive Topuria's early onslaught, which in my opinion, I don't think he will, he can make this a very dangerous fight for Ilya. And I think this fight is extremely fun for the fans, and I can't wait for it. But I am going with Ilya Topuria to get this KO victory.
I mean, it's tough to argue with either side. I've been an Oliveira fan for I don't even know how long. It's so fun watching him. I mean, he's earned the title of the greatest finisher in the UFC of all time, for sure. And I fully respect your pick. What round do you think that
It's a
he's
tough
going to
call,
lose?
bro. I've gone back. I'm either going with the end of the first or beginning of the second. You're going with third. I think I'm leaning towards second. I think I'm leaning towards early. I think he's gonna hurt Charles at the end of the first, maybe drop him, but probably not. But I think he's gonna hurt him to a point where everyone can tell he's badly hurt. And then in round two, I think he's gonna put him away. And I think he's gonna put him away hard. I think it's gonna be a KO.
I mean, I can't argue with that. I'm picking Oliveira. I think that he's got the stamina. I think he's got the grit. He's been knocked down in his fight before. You were saying he in that same fight with Chandler. Chandler knocked him down in the first, and he came back and TKO'd him. It's tough. It's a really tough fight. There's no arguing literally any outcome of this besides decision. This is not going to a decision.
It would be hard to see it going 5. Anything's possible, but just if you look at both of their careers, it's just maybe that's
Two of the best
maybe
finishers
that's
in the
why it'll
entire.
happen. Maybe they'll both have so much respect for each other, but I just don't see that being the case. Now, there's one odd man out in this weight class that shouldn't be an odd man out at this point. I think the UFC is being extremely petty and they're sabotaging a man's career over one mistake. Arman Sarukian needs to get back out there, brother.
Yes,
And
he
the fight
does.
they
He
need
has
to make,
not fought.
the fight they need to
Correct
make
me if I'm wrong. UFC 300.
correct. He has not fought since he defeated Charles. The fight they need to
Great
make,
fight, by the way. That was
yeah,
incredible. That was a great fight.
if they want to use logic and actually do the right thing, the fight they need to make. I mean, there's a couple fights, but the one that makes the most logical sense is the Justin Gaethje one. Winner gets a title shot. Gaethje's desperate for a title. Keep in mind, this is a guy who just got slept by Holloway, beat a guy he's already beaten in a rematch against Fiziev. Didn't even look that dominant or impressive in the victory. And he's
Right.
begging on his knees to Dana White for a title shot. Reality, he's one of the last guys that deserves it. But let's be honest. The fight that makes the most sense is Arman Sarukian versus Justin Gaethje, winner for the belt. I have Arman Sarukian winning that fight, by the way. But I think
I
that's
do
the fight
too.
that
I
makes
love
the most
Justin.
sense.
I love Justin. He's so much fun to watch. There's not a single fight that he's been a part of that has not gotten me excited as hell. I mean, his past, like, just go back. Fiziev, great 2 fights. The first fight was incredible. The second fight was close.
Pretty
but
good too. It was pretty good too.
It was pretty good. His
Holloway.
fight against Holloway, which hurt me, I won't lie, but I mean, that was that was my fight of the year. That was my pick for fight of the
I
year.
understand. The Dustin fights, we can't forget those. The Dustin fights, the Tony
Absolutely
Ferguson
not.
fight. The Charles fight was still very entertaining while it lasted. The Khabib
Right.
fight was pretty good
So,
too. I'm not gonna. That was probably one of the more entertaining Khabib fights we've had as well. So
right.
Justin gives it
And
his all every single time. He's a live dog against Armin, but I see him getting outclassed and out wrestled to a decision. And honestly, Arman Sarukian 100% will deserve a title shot if he gets that win. He's arguably deserved it already. I understand giving it to Charles because of the situation, canceling the day of, but the fact that they're not making it right in the weight class and they're stalling his entire career over that mistake is ridiculous to me. Make Armin versus Justin Gaethje, and you know a fight they can also make that I think would be a real treat to the fans. Make Paddy Pimblett versus Dan Hooker. Hooker just beat Gamrot. That makes a lot of sense. I think Paddy Pimblett versus Dan Hooker. I like the situation right now of Topuria versus Charles, and who am I missing in the weight class? Dustin's fighting
the
Mac.
toughest thing for the Dan Hooker fight, I agree with you on that. Hooker is coming off of a terrible hand injury, borderline career ending for him. So hoping that he's doing better. Been seeing some updates on his Instagram and throughout whatever social media. He's doing better.
They may have to make Paddy versus Gamrot then. They may, because I don't think Paddy wants a huge fight, and if you look at the weight class, there's no huge fight that makes sense. Dustin and Max are taken. He does not deserve a title shot. He does not deserve Armin, even though I think that is possible. I think the Armin fight is possible, but I don't think that fight is the most
in time
logical.
though. In time,
I think
it's not
Gaethje
going to
versus
happen.
Armin makes a lot more sense.
I agree with that because I mean that's number 1 versus number 3. It's tough to argue Paddy versus Gamrot wouldn't be a good fight, and it's tough to argue that Dan Hooker wouldn't be a great fight.
No, yeah, there's a lot of great fights in the weight class to be made. I, in my opinion, would love to see Topuria versus Armin. I think Topuria versus Armin would be a gigantic treat. I think even the build-up for that fight would be so interesting because they're so alike that it would just be such an interesting back and forth. But honestly, you have Charles Oliveira, Jack, which you have said. You may be the first person I've talked to that actually I've talked to a couple, but you're one of the first people I've talked to that seems neutral that's picking Charles Oliveira. A lot of the people that are picking Charles Oliveira are very biased, but it seems like you genuinely have him winning this one.
I'm a big fan of Charles. I do love watching his fights. I try to make these type of picks when like as non-biased as I can, but I mean you can never count him out, and he's so unpredictable. I mean, the way I see it happening is I feel like he might be a little outclassed on the feet. I mean, he does have one of the longest reaches in the division, if I'm correct. But I do see Topuria using that signature boxing and head movement to just getting close and maybe knocking him down. And then I see Charles just working the guard, and I see just a big mistake coming from Topuria. Like he'll overthrow a punch, a miss, and triangle, and Charles will throw up a triangle or
You
something. I
realize that Charles
definitely
has a big reach advantage as well, so he'll be able to keep distance if Taporia is out of reach.
exactly.
We saw Taporia get out of reach bad against Holloway a few times. Holloway has better striking, in my opinion, than Charles, but I don't think he has the power that Charles has. So even though Holloway was making him pay, he wasn't really making him pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much a little rundown for now. I mean, there's not too much more to add. Brian Norman fought. He looked pretty good as well. I want to see the Boots Ennis fight. I think Boots going to 154 this is the one time where I actually have wanted Boots to stay at 47, but now he's going to 54. So I guess this is going to be Brian Norman's division unless he also moves up. And yeah, there's not too much more. Next week, June 28th, that's the fight we all want to see, as well as Pantoja versus France. I have Pantoja on points. Jack, what's your quick prediction for that one?
That's a
Pantoja
great
on
fight.
points? Yeah, honestly.
I could not agree more with that. Pantoja he's arguably, I would put him in the same sentence as Mighty Mouse. I mean, he has, right now, there is not a single person on that entire list of flyweights that he either has not beat or couldn't beat. He is one of the most powerful forces in the flyweight division that the flyweight division has seen. So
what do you think it's going to take for him to be number one pound for pound? Because he's doing pretty much everything he can aside from being a double champ. I mean, he's beating everyone. What do you think it would take for him to be pound for pound?
He is criminally underrated. Right now in the pound for pound, he is 10th. He is below.
It's ridiculous. Horrendous.
He is below Alex Pereira.
He can't be below Pereira. That's a terrible opinion for them to do because Pereira's coming off a loss, doesn't have a belt, and not even the fact that Pereira shouldn't be 9, because I think 9 is respectable for Pereira, but specifically Pantoja should be considerably higher. I mean, my list in no particular order would be Islam, Topuria, Merab. John Jones is retired, so he's not even in the equation.
Yeah,
after those 3, I mean, who do you have above Pantoja after those 3?
Exactly. I mean, I couldn't agree more. You could argue.
I'm not putting DDP above him yet. DDP he's close. He's close, but if you look, maybe I'll put
these. He needs one or two more titles. He needs one or two more defenses. You could throw up. I've heard some people say Volk, but
no,
I mean,
I disagree.
If we're talking all-time Volk, then but
not right now. He just squeaked out a win to get his title back, coming off of back-to-back KO losses. I mean, definitely not Volk. At 185, Drickus, I just mentioned. I would not put. What's his name, bro? The guy just beat Alex Pereira. I don't know why I'm having a brain lapse. It's
Ankalaev.
I would definitely not put Ankalaev above him. Definitely not.
It's right now the pound for pound is Islam 1, Merab 2. They still have Jones at 3, so I'm Topuria at 3, Dricus at 4, Ankalaev at 5, Volk at 6, JDM at 7, Pereira at 8, Pantoja at 9, Aspinall at 10.
I mean, the list is all over the place, if we're being honest. I don't think they've ever done a good job with their official list. I think all the lists that are on other sites are usually a lot better. And yeah, so Pantoja should be higher. But anyhow, that's my little rundown for now. I do have to close this out now. This is a great stream. Me and Jack really chopped it up, and we love chopping it up with you guys more. Make sure to comment your thoughts next time to the people in the chat so we could be a little more engaging with you guys. And hopefully we have another one of these coming up soon for the post-fight of Topuria versus Charles. Any final messages, Jack?
Thank you guys for tuning in. We are Fighting Yo. We will always be Fighting Yo. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you guys hopefully next week.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.